because when your estrogen starts depleting and erratically going on vacation, you lose your fucks to give.
That's it.
You don't have any, you like don't have any left.
No. Done. Done.
Welcome to the full Vagine, where I have my blue ball microphone.
And I will have my chocolatini because it's Tipsy Tuesday.
It's Tipsy Tuesday. Cheers.
Cheers. It's actually National Wine Day, but I'm not a big wine drinker.
Yeah, right. My name is Kristen Diorio, and we are your co-hosts of the full Vagine.
Yeah.
Which is, we're here to talk about all things uncensored, unfiltered conversations about what happens to us as women, as well as experts to help us build our female toolkit.
Yeah. And all
stages
stages of life we're going to talk about.
Stages of life, right.
Yes.
We can have the girls of college all the way up, right? We can have the girls on what's it like to transition to college.
Totally.
And we are transitioning into menopause, which hence the top of my hat here.
Yes. Her hat.
My hat is because when your estrogen starts depleting and erratically going on vacation, you lose your fucks to give.
That's it.
You don't have any, you like don't have any left.
No. Done. Done. It's gone. But then you have your Radiate Love because you are a loving person. And so it could go hand in hand every day. You never know. And I am just in red, but I feel the same as the hat and the shirt.
Yes. And my friend Val said, as she said, she goes, actually, that really describes you.
Totes.
You're like, somehow you radiate love, but also go fuck yourself, that kind of vibe. You know?
Like when you're in the car and you're like, listen, like, life is short. You got to really enjoy life. And then someone cuts you off and you're like, you goddamn son of a.
Yeah. Which also, I kept my tongue going.
Stop it. Why does that not surprise me though?
Yeah. Yeah. So my mom is always saying, you never take your tags off of anything. And I walk around with tags. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do it on purpose now.
Right. And it's not like you're returning it. You just don't. You just don't. Or you could be like my kids and my husband and take the tag off and just leave it. Not in the trash can, leave it on the counter, the floor, wherever. You just pop it off.
Okay, I'll why they do that. Like, why is it okay to just I'll start just out of pure curiosity, like a scientific experiment.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to just strip down, throw shit off on the floor. I'm just going to see what it looks like in here.
Oh, I can tell you right now, it doesn't work. I did an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
I got Lexi Lulu, our dog. I put a little bowl, like a paper bowl, and I put chicken, right? And I put it on the floor. So I said to Meg, which is my sister, I was like, watch this. I'm not bending down and picking up the bowl. It was 4 days. The bowl was still on the floor. 4 days.
It's empty. It's not although they used to say that about me when I was I'm blind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're Jeff too. It's just my husband. Yeah. Your cars have banana peels and shit in it.
Yeah. So I'm sort of both. I'm the husband and wife all licked up in one, where I'm like, oh my God,
that's a good.
This goddamn place up. It looks like a shithole, but then I'm sitting on the couch drinking beer, and I'm just like, what? I need some fucking tire. I can just sit here.
All right. So that's a good interlude for you to tell us about you.
Yeah. I guess let's introduce ourselves, right?
Yes.
So my name is Kristen. Tara and I have been best of friends with our kind of core group for 30 years.
Yep, at least.
And I, thought, hey, I'm going to do the typical, get married, have kids, climb the corporate ladder, whatever. And I hit it about 39 and I was not married, and never expected that. But I used to say, you know what, if I never get married, I'm going to go have a kid by myself. But I think like, I was just like, think that would never happen. You know what I mean? And I just picked the phone up one day and I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I have the easiest time making big decisions like that. Like I could be like, when I moved to Boston, I was like, I'm going to move to Boston. I had to rent my house out. I couldn't afford to live in both places. I rented it out in like 3 weeks
Yep.
and left. And, and
That was it.
I still can't decorate my dining room because I can't figure out what I want to put on the walls. I'm like, but I'm going to have a kid by myself. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what I was thinking 10 years later, but whatever. I mean, so I was extremely lucky that I got pregnant twice with frozen sperm at 39. And the last time was my daughter, Olivia, who's 10 and a half and drives me insane. But I was very blessed for that to happen.
Yes.
Especially, talking to other people and how hard it is or how much, how many hormones they had to take and all this shit they had to go through, like IVF. And here's me. I'm like, I'm not maybe don't know. And then boom,
Just jizzed and you were done.
And then, when I was about 2 or 3 months pregnant, I had a dream that I swore it was a boy, but I had a dream it was a girl and her name was Olivia Gross. And I was like, well, now that I know her personally, I was like, I know that little shithead came forth to tell me what she wanted to be named because
that's her.
So, yeah, that's her. So,
tell them when she discovered or how you were explaining to her of how she came about.
So 2 little girls were at a pool at my cousin's, and she comes up to me and she was like, I'm the dad, right? And I was like, nah. So these 2 girls said you can't have a baby without a mom and a dad. And I was like, well, yeah, the like genetic DNA, you cannot. You have to have both from a mom and a dad or a man and woman. I was like, and together they make a baby. And I said, and I, wanted to have you. I was like, so I decided to do it. And she was like, it was just some random. And I was like, yeah. Yes, it was just some random. But okay. Yeah. And she just goes off like,
so that's just a little taste of Olivia. She came out of the Vagine.
Yeah.
As an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to explain it. She asked you if you were frustrated when she was like, what? 3
months old.
2, 3. Mm-hmm. Like, that was it.
She did work.
Frustrated with me. She's hysterical. But yeah, so you're a single mom.
I'm a single mom.
Very tough.
Yeah, I have a very good extended family. My 2 sets of my parents help me a lot, and my best friends and my village friends in my neighborhood. Like, I'm very lucky to have a lot of, or otherwise I would have lost my mind by now, which occasionally happens anyway. So.
Right. And we'll get into all that too when you do lose your mind and what you can do about it and all the things you that can help, because you're not alone. Everybody else is losing their shit,
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Everybody's losing their shit. I told my friend at work and she was like having a baby. I'm like, listen, if you make any friends and they tell you they know what they're doing, don't be friends with them. Like, no, don't. I was like, only nice people say I have no fucking clue what's going on. I have no idea what's happening. I don't know how to do this, like, because none of us do.
But yeah. So, what else?
How about you, Tara? Give us like your.
So, my background is, I guess I'll just start to like got married at how old was I? 30? No.
Yeah, Marley's what, going to be 18?
Yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah, I got married. So we dated for like years. He was in my sister's grade in high school. He was in my high school. And got married. Had Marley a year later. And then had Hayden 2 years later. And she was she was a stage 4 clinger. She wanted to get back in the womb. Mm-hmm. She was a emergency C-section baby. So bleeding internally back into me, and they don't know how, they still don't know how or why or whatnot, but they brought her out and she was like gray, and they're like, hi. And I was like,
oh, I remember that. I was involved in it. Holly
like,
called me to tell me.
yes, gray. And they're like, we're just gonna take her to the NICU. And I was like, oh my God, okay.
My God.
So blood transfusions, she's great. She came home after a week, and she was completely addicted to me.
Yeah.
She wouldn't even go to Jeff, my husband. She would say to Jeff, and we still say to this day, Jeff will be like, do you think like I could snuggle you tonight? And she'd be like, not yet, but soon. She would say it to him all the time. And he'd be like, yeah, he's like, is it soon? She's like, no. He had Marley, like, right. Marley was, comfort to him and everything like that. So, but now they're tighter than tight and whatever. It's,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had the two girls. I did work before I met Jeff, before we got married, but now I'm a stay-at-home mom. And they're 15 and 17. Well, actually, next month it'd be 18 and 16.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like, I don't have to take Marley to her doctor's appointments anymore. Like, that's crazy to me.
Right?
Yeah, like
I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
It goes by so fast.
So fast. And my Marley's going to Alabama. And I didn't wear this red on purpose, but she's going to Alabama in August. And then Hayden will be a junior. She doesn't know where she wants to go or whatnot, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a huge transition too. Like,
oh, I'm going to die.
College, empty nest soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Marley.
That's going to move back to the city then, or what?
I think we should, because I think it would help.
Well, it would be so fun.
I know Jeff wants to go somewhere warm for some of the time. And then, he won't be retired though. So maybe we will.
Here's what I think you should do. This is my, okay?
Love it.
Have like a nice condo in a building here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the beach house at the shore, and then somewhere down south.
I think that sounds perfect. Perfect, because when I was down there the other day at your house, because Kristen lives in the city, I was like, oh my God, I miss it. I mean, because we used to live in the city in Queens Village. And I was like, oh, I miss it. Oh, I miss that. I remember that bar. I remember walking here. And it happened to be a nice day too. And I was like, I do miss this. Like I could do that in the nice areas that we're in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
and Philly's so big, there are some not so nice areas.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that could be street to street. Remember when I would run down there, they'd be like, you might not want to cross over that street. Just stay this way. And I was like,
it's not so.
Yeah, it's not so good. But yeah, so that's my story. And then Kristen and I, oh my God, it was years. It was before podcasts were a thing. We would always say we should do a reality show, because that was in reality.
Yeah.
And we were like, or we should just and then eventually it turned into, wait, let's do a podcast once it became more popular. And then life happens and kids and whatever and jobs and all that stuff. So now we're finally doing it.
Yeah, I know we're finally doing it. I think getting into this time of life definitely influenced me to finally pull the trigger of let's do this. Let's put the extra work in.
Let's do it.
It's fun. And I feel like women need a space and more community around a lot of issues, let alone what we're going through right now in menopause and menopause.
Right. And just to know that there's other people that are going through the same thing. So you're not alone, or, you don't think you're crazy. There's everybody else is, there's a lot of people that are going through the same thing that you can relate. Maybe you can't, but we're going to have experts on, we're going to have humor, just everyday stuff. When Kristen asked me, or when asked me to do this, when we were thinking about doing it, I was like, this is great, because I was at a point in my life where it seemed like Groundhog's Day. And I know the winter doesn't help either, but I was like, yes, this gives me a purpose, or just something where Kristen and I think that it's therapy for us.
I'm like, if this doesn't go anywhere, I don't give a shit. I'm like, I love just doing this. And and getting to talk to like my friends regularly, it's such a big, huge, bright light in my weeks.
It is. It is.
And I work from home, so I always joke around. Like, my friend's husband calls it the monotony and abject loneliness of work from home. And then, at night, I'm stuck here fighting with a child constantly, and just the old doldrums of the monotony of parenthood. And altogether, I was just feeling so lonely, honestly, and needing of more purpose.
Right, right. And that's that's why this helps. And it just makes it so much easier to talk about, I feel like. When you have people to be like, oh my God, yes, it's the same thing. Or yes, I didn't know that. Or, oh, that's why I'm like that, so.
Right.
Oh, we forgot to say where we went. You went to Penn State. I went to Westchester University. Yeah. So Kristen went to Penn State with my sister, my older sister, 2 years apart, 18 months apart. And I worked at that time. I did not go to college right away. So I was up at Penn State probably every weekend.
All the time.
All the time, where there were people, remember, they'd be like, so Tara, what classes you have next year? Like, what professor? I'm like, I don't fucking go here. And they're like, but you're here all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, I know. So the story too, which I'll make a long story short, but I worked at a travel company and I was a travel agent and I loved it. And this is before I went to college. Well, a managerial position opened up and I applied for it and I didn't get it. And they brought someone else from outside I worked there for 3 years. Yeah. And I really felt I was qualified because I would do good and had a lot of clients. And they didn't give it to me. And I realized then, shit, I'm going to need a college education. And sadly, I left that job because I wouldn't get it.
But it is also that's not necessarily true. People don't look at talent in the right way.
Correct. Yeah. I had 3 years of experience and I don't even think this woman was a travel agent, and she was just young and she had a college education. I was young too. I was only like 25, 23, right. And it pissed me off. I was fucking pissed. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was really upset with the company and I was really mad. And I didn't leave on good terms, but what I got out of that company was great. The traveling that I did do.
Right then.
And then I went to, work during the day and went to Westchester and, at night. But it wasn't easy, but it was also like, feel like it's the way of the world. Like I had to do it. Unfortunately,
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're getting in a place where, and it's funny, I did a workshop today about your potential and how we have to stop looking at the myth of natural talent and look more at like character and character strengths and building those perseverance and learning and curiosity and all the character strengths are what we should be building and what's important, right? Because in the world, we're not going to be able to automate the human skills, right? The human touch. We should use AI to really be able to use the human element more to take away some of the things that menial I don't want to say menial, but like tasks that can be taken away so you could spend more time engaging with people.
Yep. Tell them what you do, loves.
Yeah. So I am a recruiter, basically. I do talent acquisition. And I said today when I did my presentation, I find potential in people. Like that's like what I love people. When I was 3, I used to bust out of the house and go to the bus stop on the corner and invite everybody in for cake and coffee. And I used to like invite my grandmother said I used to invite like the security guard at the bank, like because she was driving around in my stroller up Broad Street and
and it's so funny that you said cake and coffee because that's what your that's what you did, your mom and your grandma.
We had tea, actually it's probably tea with like a thing, right?
Yeah.
So I love people. I love listening to their stories and I'm curious about people and I'm curious about the things that they've done in life and the adversities that they've, experienced. And so that's why I like that part of my job. And today I did a training on building your potential about 11 years ago. Well, I was pregnant with Livy. I was literally, I guess when I started, I was probably 4 months pregnant, all the way through to having her. I went to New York once a month. Every week I did a virtual learning on certification applied positive psychology, which is the science of flourishing, science of happiness, science of well-being, science of potential, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got all these tools to help build potential in people. And that's I think a passion of mine. So identifying and then building,
Yep.
I do that part of it on the side. So at work, my first number one job is hire people, right? We're growing fast, but I also get to do that too. The teams that I support, we're going and do an hour long workshop on the growth mindset and how important our beliefs are about our capabilities. And that's where the root of it starts, right? Is our beliefs about ourselves and how we are told by society and by our parents and by our peers that, oh, you're not good at this, or you're not a strategic thinker, or you are. I mean, we're told so many times how we're limited,
Right. Yeah. It's not,
Right.
it's a lot of negativity.
Yeah. And then you believe it. And then you live your whole life with this belief that's not even true. So
Right.
therefore you never work on these other parts that, what I like to call lesser strengths. We don't build them because we think, oh,
So just, yeah.
good at it. I tried it once, I failed, I didn't make mistakes. I'm just not good at that. Right.
Right. Or I was told I wasn't good at it,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then we limit ourselves and it's trying to rethink our beliefs, right? Of ourselves. And I feel like so much of our lives is driven towards what our own self-worth is and what we believe our lives should be.
Right. Right. Which,
So it's just, so people will question that a little bit.
right. And slowly try and change that. May not happen overnight, but at least
No, it's
slowly, for
right.
but
Little,
yeah.
I always say micro habits, micro bites of, change, right? And it could be little Olivia and I, we write stuff on our mirrors,
Like it's gonna be a good day today.
or, I am whatever, or if one day at a time. That's up there recently because I've just felt overwhelmed in a lot of ways.
Yeah. There's this, I used to do Peloton classes with the bike.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, there was this one instructor on, and she was awesome. She would get the crowd going, and she was like, you fucking woke up today. Today's a good day.
Yeah. Right.
Well, you're here. And it stuck with me. And I was like, that's awesome. Yeah. Today means and a lot of days, but you're here and you woke up and you move on. And I just remember that. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. And it's just appreciating those little things. Myself included, wake up and I'm always looking for some big sweeping fucking thing to happen in my life and be like, oh my God, I want this to happen. I want to be big or I want to be small, whatever the fucking is. But there's so much about life that's the little things and we don't appreciate them. We have to be reminded.
Right. And you can't have expectations. Or you can, but you got to dial it down a little bit.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
and
there's a difference
that they say, right?
Right.
That's something else, that I've recently had up on my mirror. And with isn't that the 76ers? That's their mantra, right? Trust the process.
Yep.
You have to honor where you are in life too, and all the other things that you have to take care of. And sometimes you just gotta trust the process, trust the timing of the universe.
Right. And trust your environment and the people around you too. Yes. They help. You talked about your village, about where you live, and Olivia's friends' moms, and I have that here, and I had that throughout with both girls, and it's amazing. It's amazing when you have that and you find that. And our guest, we had one of our guest on, Jody, she talks about that too. She's like, I don't know if I would have made it without the village.
Right. Without your
No.
will. Yeah.
Yeah. And you need that. And
Well, right out of that, you know?
right. And we're always, I feel like, because we touch upon this too, where it's women, you're not supposed to ask for help. You know, we got this. We're strong, da da da. And it's okay, though, to ask for help because we're always there to help. Like, so,
Yeah.
you know, like you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to ask anybody for help. But then if roles were reversed, oh, I wish she asked me to help her because I totally would have, you know?
It's that like our grandparents and great grandparents was, and I'm sorry, I'm like having to get a living appointment. So
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I feel like we lost, like it used to be back in the day, that community was such a big part of life. And
Yeah.
no, you said, okay, yeah. Oh, she doesn't care. Back in the 50s or 60s, it was a little town outside of Scranton whose heart disease, I think, rate was like, because, you know, heart disease is the number one killer of like of us and
Of women.
women. But yeah, so they had studied them and they were, you know, and they were, I feel like it was almost a little village that came over from Italy. They were very close and they were like, well, is it something they eat, how they eat or whatever, but they cooked with large. Yeah. So the line with abandoned, which I'm always, okay, I can get that. I can get behind,
Yeah.
you know,
But they all lived together.
but it was their sense of community and their village of helping each other that made the difference.
Absolutely. Like they didn't, you know, you think about how even my mom growing up in the Northeast,
Oh yeah.
like, but they all did. Your aunt was down the street and your dad was around the corner, your cousins. It's such a community with your family. That's because it was large family too.
Generation was a lot closer to our first cousins, like, and my second cousins that we like hang out with all the time. I used to go with my grandmother to Adele's house on Friday nights and hang out with a bunch of like, I mean, I used to think 80-year-olds, but they were probably like 60, you know?
Oh, I remember going to the Manises, my cousins, every weekend. It was so fun. And I have older cousins too. And they would bring like their friends over and they were like teenagers. And I'm like, this is so cool. Like, this is so cool. This is like the highlight of my weekend, you know? But yeah, it was, I like that part of it. I definitely do. But I also like the part of being independent and getting out and doing your own thing. And, you know, there's, you know, there's a with everything.
As we said today, when I have like my Radiate Love, but also women hat, that we can be both and, right? We don't have to be either or. We can honor ourselves and when we need space and when we need when we have to establish boundaries, because a lot of, especially ethnic families like Italians, boundaries are not a great, you know, not their best thing, you know, right? And to honor yourself and your own choices, independent human and family, but then also still be able to engage in the village, in the community.
Right. And I think that's the big difference. We talk about women and you're not allowed to do that, or you're not allowed to say that, or what are you doing? What do you mean? You know, I'm talking way back. Like, what do you mean you're going to college and stuff?
Right. Or right. It's like, and
right.
Or like you should, you know what I mean? Like, so we rid ourselves of that.
Right. And we did, but I feel like as we were doing that, you kind of broke that community of you're living near your family. Somebody had to leave. Somebody had to do it. But eventually it all caught up and everybody understands. You just go and visit and it is what it is.
Yeah, I think there could be more of a balance there. It's either, you don't have to be all or one, right? Where everybody thinks the same, does the same, lives the same.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
Appreciate each other's differences, right? And our diversity.
Yep. Yeah.
So, while also still staying connected and close, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think that's it's hard, but that's just how it is.
I know. So we are super excited.
Super excited.
And we don't give a flying shit who watches us.
We hope people do, but we're like still
You know, like we want to just have more people to talk to
right.
because that's what we like to do. We like to go out and ask people to come in and have cake and coffee.
Sanka. You want some Sanka?
The Franca, isn't that the best? That's best amount of that is.
Oh, I can't eat with it. I literally do not get sick of him. And I grew up Irish. I didn't even grow up Italian, but he makes me laugh so hard. Like I can't even. Yeah. And he talks about his wife who's Jewish, and it just cracks me up because I have some Jewish friends and I'm like, oh my God, yes, that's what you do. Like, yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Oh my God. And it was so funny when he's like company 20 years ago. People like knock on the door, like
Elements.
I'll go to the Enemans and be like,
Elements.
you don't touch this cake.
You can touch that cake.
This cake is for the company.
Yes. Do you know my dad? You know the Enemans chocolate, just the regular chocolate comes in that long box.
Right.
If you ate his last donut, which I mean, you don't know, you're just hungry, he legit was mad. I'm not talking like, oh my God, you guys are assholes. You ate my legitimately mad. Like, go out and get me another box, like right now.
Yeah. It's like bullshit.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he had open heart surgery at 53. Maybe shouldn't be eating the donuts. We saved him.
Maybe you should put the donuts down for a little bit.
Donuts. His doctor's like, John, no more potato chips and no more donuts. He literally said that they're the two worst things for you.
Oh my God. Seriously?
Yeah, I can't give up my potato chips. Sorry, I can't. I love chips.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love potato chips. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can't do it. Yeah.
Too funny. So I know.
All right.
We
Well,
have great like lineup coming up.
yeah.
We have an expert OBGYN on menopause.
Yes.
We have my favorite medium on. We have a health psychologist on.
Train.
Yep, our trainer.
A trainer. Yep. And friends just that have dealt with some hardships, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be and we're gonna have more.
Yeah. Women have stories. We have very impactful,
Interesting.
interesting stories. And
Yeah.
that's what we're looking to get out, get women's stories out there.
Yeah. And just have
Yeah.
a place to come and just talk and relax and maybe laugh and just
Yeah.
maybe learn just,
Maybe learn, take one thing from it,
Yeah, exactly. So we hope you will join us.
Yeah, we hope you tune in every week.
If not, we'll still be drinking on Tipsy Tuesday.
Still be drinking
With or without you.
Radiating love.
Radiating love.
So giving no fucks.
Yes. So cheers to the full beans.
We'll see you soon.
Cheers.